So today we're going to take some honey. This is my Flow Hive that I've had for about a little over 6 months now. Isn't that neat? You take the back plate off and it sits there as a shelf. Get one of my jars, it goes on the shelf. May need to lift the lid up a little. And we're going to take from these two today. I could probably take from that one as well. It looks mostly capped. There's a few empty cells in there. There's a few empties around here, but look, you can see the line of capping all the way up there. I mean, it is all the way up there as well. We'll see how we go. So we take the plug out. That one came out easier than it did last time. So this is the second time this season that I have taken from these two frames. These frames I did a few weeks ago, and if you take a look at the side, you'll see that the bees are filling them back up with honey again. These two I haven't taken, and the reason being is that that one is empty. They've never seemed to fill that up. And I'm not sure why. I think perhaps because that's the side of the hive that gets the most sun, and they, especially in the afternoons in summer, I don't think they like that. So I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to take, I might take that. I'm going to take these two definitely, maybe that one. So the next thing I do is get my flow keys, and I use 2 for this operation because it just makes it a little bit easier. You put them in all the way to the back, and if I'm lucky I'll be able to twist them both together at the same time. Sometimes the bees stick it up. Oh yeah, there we go. And I just give them a bit of a wiggle just to make sure that all those cells are completely open. Now one thing I do notice today is that honey is flowing a lot slower than it did a couple of weeks ago. That's because the temperatures have dropped. Last time I took honey from this hive, it would have been in the mid to high 20s. Today, I think the temperature was supposed to reach about 22, 23. And it has probably cooled off a little in the last hour or so. But look at that. I am wearing my bee suit today with shorts and no gloves. Go figure the sense in that. Look at that. How easy is that? And some people will say, well, we're coming into winter, why are you taking all the bees' honey? Well, they've got a lot of honey in those two. And there's some in that row on this frame, but not the outside row. And the trees are still in flower at the moment. I've got behind me here a lovely grevillea that's just come out in the last few weeks. And behind us there are some snow gums and ghost gums. They're still flowering at the moment. There's another grevillea to the left of shot. And even the frangipanis have got the odd flower on them still. It's amazing. So the bees still have a lot of foraging around them. And look at the colour of that. That's a lot darker than the last lot of honey I got from them. It's quite a windy day today. Not the ideal day for taking honey because the bees tend not to fly as far away on windy days. They tend to stick more around the hive. So it is possible to anger them. And they're, like all animals, the wind tends to upset them a little bit, I think. I'm just going to do a little bit of tidy up around the hive. Get some of these grasses out. That honey's still flowing quite nicely. Just while we wait for that, I will pan around here and hopefully you get a shot of these grevilleas. I can't see the screen on the camera, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you can see the lower branches of that grevillea or not. But I don't want to upset the frame when I turn around. I'll just get our next jar ready. Now, what am I going to do with all this honey? Well, I am the backyard brewer. I think there's Mead on the horizon. And by the time I get the lid back on there, that's probably getting close to full enough now. It's flowing quite strongly, so get the next jar ready and under we go. A little bit of spillage there, and I am going to have to take my hood off to clean that up. How do I clean that up? Well, I'm not going to waste it, am I? A little bit just on the outside here. Different again from the other honeys that we've had. Early in the season, we got, I suspect, a lot of honey off the frangipanis, and that was quite sweet and floral and flowery. Well, honey is sweet anyway, but it's quite floral and flowery. And then later in the season, towards the end of summer, when the gums started flowering, we got quite a dark smoky flavour from the honey. This is different again. This is quite woody. I'll get the next one ready. Now that I've got a smaller jar in there, I might be able to fit a second large jar. Just move it across a little. Hopefully I can do that. Get as far over as I can and squeeze. Oh, this one's a bit tougher. I could have, if I'd wanted to, just put those keys in a little bit at a time. So just do like a quarter of the frames, then go a bit further in, then a bit further, to just open part of the frame at a time. The frames are designed to be open like that. But that doesn't matter because I managed to get it open. And this seems to be a slightly lighter coloured honey. Interesting. This colony of bees has been quite a good little producer. Considering this is my first season beekeeping, so far I've taken around about 12 kilos of honey from this hive. Now to close the frames off and stop the honey coming out, when we get to the end, these flow keys just go in above where we did it before, where we opened, all the way to the back again and squeeze, and that's it. Just go a couple of times just to make sure that everything's all honky-dory. Give it a couple of seconds. Now I'm just going to take this tube out and just put it into the honey. Oops. A little bit of honey came out. And again, that's about as far as I want to go. There we go. Lid goes on there. Now I think I've got enough honey. So I'm going to leave that today. I'm just in the middle of building another hive for this colony. And it's a long Langstroth hive. Rather than going up, it goes out. And it'll give them a lot more room to expand into, and another 3 flow frames to fill up. And then hopefully they'll be able to fill all of the flow frames up, all the way to the edge. Mind you, like I said, I suspect that that's because they've got the sun beating down on this side, that they don't like filling in there. I'm just going to do a quick check. Yeah, same. They've got some honey in there. It's probably about only a quarter, but there is about a quarter capped. But there is honey in other cells, and I suspect that they may also be using that as a temporary honey store, because last time I did an inspection, there was hardly any honey in the brood frame. So I suspect that they're using that side of the hive to feed the colony. And this side is getting a lot more honey in it. It's almost filled back up again. Wow. They have been very busy girls. So I'm not leaving them without honey for the winter. I'll keep an eye on that. And as soon as I see that fill up and them starting to fill the middle frames again, then I'll know that it's time that I can take more. So I'm going to close this one off now. And as always, I'm going to be nice to the girls and say, thank you girls for providing us with so much lovely honey. Now over the next few days, what these bees will do is they'll tear the wax capping off those cells, and they'll get in there and clean them out, because there is still a fair bit of honey. If you look at it, there is still a fair bit of honey left in the bottom of those cells. So they'll get in there. They'll take the honey out of there, they'll store it somewhere else, probably in one of these frames here, and they'll clean them out and they'll prepare them again for the next lot of honey to go in there. Very clever little bees, aren't they? Now that these are closed off, these plugs go back in there. Just to stop anything from getting up into the top of the hive. Not that the girls haven't propolised everything. They use propolis, which is, my understanding, it's a tree sap that they mix up and form into like a glue. And then they propolise all the little cracks, nooks and crannies in the hive to stop invaders from getting in, drafts from getting in. It makes it easier for them to manage the hive space. So all those cracks are all sealed up. And I think we're just about done here. Now I'll go back and I'll measure the jars again so that I can get a total before and after weight. Subtract the weight of the jars, and that'll tell me how much honey I've managed to take out of the hive today. I think that's enough. Now there is still some honey down in there, and the way the Flow Hive has been designed is that there are gaps down there, and that honey will flow down those gaps into the lower frame. Sorry, into the honey will flow down through those gaps into the lower part of the hive, into the brood box. And those bees will clean that up over the next day or two. Like, same as the cells, they'll clean it all up. Anyway, that's it for honey collection. The next time you see this honey will be in a mead making video.